What's going on, everybody? I'm back at it again with another Clash Royale video. This one's going to be pretty short and sweet. I just want to go over the new balance changes for June 2023 in case some of you are not familiar, with what's going on in the game, why certain metas are coming back, why some cards are being used that weren't before, and maybe why some cards that were heavily used in the last season are not being used anymore. So we're going to get right into it. This is going to be a really short video, and I'm basically just going to go over the card in game here, and then I'm going to tell you what was nerfed or buffed with that specific card. So we'll get right into it. The first one that they have here is going to be the Ice Wizard. There was a nerf. It looked like a buff, actually. Just because they feel the Ice Wizard was a little bit overlooked. So here he is right here. Let's see if we can get some information on him. So there's the Ice Wiz there, for those of you who may not have him unlocked yet. So basically, in this new change, they felt he was a bit overlooked in the current meta. He wasn't really used too much. I think the only decks he was used in was maybe Ice Bow and some spawner decks with Graveyard. So they basically gave his damage radius, once dropped, a 20% increase. So that little radius you see there and that little circle is going to be a little bit bigger, and it will one-shot skeletons, and I think everything else is a two-shot, but it's going to be a good counter to pretty much everything, bait related, or maybe cycle cards as well. So with that being said, we're going to get right into the next card that was changed here, and that's going to be the Night Witch. The Night Witch now spawns one more bat. So as you see there, it spawns two in the little diagram that we have here. And now, instead of the two bats, it's actually going to spawn three bats, which is going to be crazy. So you're probably going to see a lot more Golem beatdown decks, which I'm not looking forward to. I'm going to have to find a deck to counter that. So that's going to be quite a lot of fun to deal with. That seems to be the only deck that, or the only change that was made to her. So with that being said, we'll get right on to the next card. That's going to be Skelly Drags, or Skeleton Dragons. Now, these cards are typically used in like the same deck, like either a Golem deck or a Lava Hound deck. So I could see why they did this. So basically the change with these guys was they gave it a little bit more health. So each dragon now has plus 5.8% more health than they used to before. So if you were used to certain things like maybe the Royal Recruit drop or whatever, pretty much one-shotting them, you may need to think again and get ready to maybe use another spell or another card to take them out, because they are going to be a little bit stronger, and they're also going to have a little bit more space in between them. They're actually going to have 50% more space in between each other, so you can't hit them both quite as easily. So I'm kind of curious to see the Lava Hound players coming back with that change there, so that'll be interesting to see. We're going to get right on to the next card. The next card is actually going to be the Battle Healer, and I'm really surprised about this, actually. So the change they made to the Battle Healer was the spawn heal amount, which was 201, is 50% of a heal spirit at the same level. So basically all they did was they have the spawn heal radius, and they increased that by 2.5 tiles. So the reason they did that is because they felt she wasn't getting enough utility. I honestly beg to differ, because I felt like a lot of Elixir Golem decks paired with this card right here, if you didn't have the right deck to counter, you could get overwhelmed and swarmed so easily, and she just, man, the Mirror Healer is definitely going to be meta this season, so keep a lookout for that one, because the little radius you see there by the minions on the tower is going to be a little bit bigger, and that means you could spam a hell of a lot more troops, and it's going to be much more difficult to actually take them out, which I'm kind of worried about. So look out for that. The next card I'm really psyched about is, and this is for those of you who are a little bit better players, and it's actually going to be the Goblins. So these little guys have been running the meta because they are so freaking strong. Look how fast they take out a 5 elixir card there for 2 elixir. It's insane. If you don't have the right cards, these things can destroy you. So basically what they did here is they made their deployment time a little bit longer. So they went from a 0.1 second delay to a 0.2 second delay on the actual deployment of these goblins. Doesn't look like they actually made them any less strong as far as hit points go, but they did make it a little bit harder for you to get them placed down as quickly. So maybe these troops will have a little bit more time to kill a goblin or two before they actually get time to spawn and do some damage. So I think that was much needed. I was really afraid of that running the meta. There are their stats currently. Nothing really changed, like I said, except that they were, they had a little bit of an increase in time for deployment. So that's all that happened with goblins. The next card I'm definitely interested in as well is the Goblin Hut. Now, those of you that were high up on ladder probably faced Mirror Goblin Hut quite a lot, or maybe double spawner. So the change that they made with this was, they said that pretty much it became too viable, or much more viable, with the last set of changes that they made to this Goblin Hut. And basically they wanted to reduce a little bit of its effectiveness but not completely remove it from the meta. So what they did is they took 3 goblins that used to spawn, as you see in this little diagram here, and they removed it back to 1. Now I think that's pretty fair. The Goblin Hut was definitely very difficult to deal with a lot of times. The only time I really didn't struggle against that, decks with the Goblin Hut in it was when I had Earthquake and I could cycle very quickly, especially if they had Mirror. So I didn't worry about it too much, but that's a really good balance change. Those of you that spammed Mirror Goblin Hut, honestly, you deserve this nerf. So we're gonna get right into the next one. The next one's the Mighty Miner, and I'm sure none of you were surprised by this one, because this card has also been running rampant. He's basically a walking Inferno Tower. I mean, look how brawlic and beefy this man is. That little mustache, dude. Good lord. So basically what happened to this guy is they made him a little bit weaker, which I'm kind of surprised about. So they subtracted 2.2% from his overall health. So that means he's a little bit weaker. And that's pretty much it. Still does the same damage. The acceleration on his drill there to kill troops is the same. The bomb damage is the same, so you don't have to worry about that. But he is going to be slightly more difficult to use against than, say, like a P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam deck, because P.E.K.K.A. already is a really good matchup against him for how heavy hitting the P.E.K.K.A. is. But now he's going to die just that much quicker, so keep an eye out for that. Just remember that he is a little bit more squishy in this new season. So I'm not too bummed about that. I didn't use the Mighty Miner too much, but it is what it is. So the next card is going to be the Phoenix. Now, this is one of my favorite cards. It has been very, very strong lately. As you can see, she's in my deck, or he's in my deck. I'm not really sure. But the Phoenix is very, very strong. And the one thing that I noticed about the Phoenix is that if you were playing a log bait deck with a princess in it, and they placed the princess at the bridge, you could actually kill that princess before it even got a shot off. Now that's crazy. That's crazy fast attack speed. So for that reason, the only nerf that was made to this card this season is that they had subtracted 11% from its attack speed. So that basically means that that princess is now going to get a shot off onto your Phoenix or to your tower. Not that big of a change, but you're just going to see slightly less significance in certain decks, like my E-Giant deck, where sometimes with the Phoenix locked onto the tower, it was pretty much an entire tower down. Now it's going to be pretty much, significantly more noticeable that this Phoenix isn't hitting as fast and hard as it used to. Now, I mean, I take that back. It is going to hit just as hard, but way slower. So the overall damage output is going to have diminished slightly. So I'm not too happy about that one, just because I do run E-Giant. But, I do have to accept it because he was broken, and especially having the egg hatch, it's an unbelievable card. So one of the last, actually this is the last one. This is the last change this season so far, and that's going to be to the handy dandy Ice Spirit here. So basically what they did is they looked at the Ice Spirit and saw that it was used in basically almost every single deck as a cycle card, and its freeze duration was extremely overpowered. So what they wanted to do was kind of change up how effective this Ice Spirit was, in the sense that they lowered its freeze duration by 7.7%. Now that may not seem like a lot of time, guys, but for those of you higher up on the ladder like myself, we're definitely going to notice some changes when it comes to, countering certain cards at the bridge that we normally could counter with just that one elixir card. Now we might have to put a little bit more down, or just be willing to accept some damage. So that's a big change. I don't really run Ice Spirit too much, but just be on the lookout for that. That is all for the video, guys. I just wanted to keep you up to date on everything that was going on in Clash Royale right now. Maybe, you know, get a little familiar with the changes that were going on, and you could, you know, potentially make yourself a better deck this season and hit that ultimate champion, get up there with the pros, you know what I'm saying? We're all going to make it there someday, I promise. But yeah, that's all for the video, guys. I just wanted to make it short and sweet, let you guys know what changes were made. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.